All right, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and hit record now. We've got a group in and we're going to let everybody else continue to join. I've went ahead and disabled the waiting room. I want to give a particular shout out to Mr. Jorian for being with us today, 6th grade ELA teacher joining. So happy that he's here. Hey, Miss Walker, I see you coming in. Miss Colgan's in here. Miss McCullough's in here. And just a smattering of the greatest families the whole world has ever known. So glad to see all of you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Particularly this one. Here we go. Hopefully it starts. It's going to start on the wrong slide, and I don't want to give away what's coming there. So let me get back up. Awesome. It's May 13th. Can we just start with that? What happened to April? I'm not sure. I know we saw each other. We had some chat and choose, but I feel like I blinked and somehow it was May. Nevertheless, it's May and here we are. So our agenda today, like I said, it is packed. I'm trying to be as responsive as I can to the feedback I've received and getting you all the information possible in our hour together. So we'll just review our Zoom norms. We'll have a quick community builder. We will have some grade level updates and highlights. Then I'm going to talk academic updates. We'll be able to talk a little bit about the report cards that are coming out from trimester 2, also trimester 3 grading policy. We touched on that last week on Friday, but it was a very quick chat and choose, so I want to give some more time to digest and answer questions. Then we're going to try to get really fancy. Thanks to Joanne Kennedy, this was her recommendation in one of our last chat and choose was about how we could utilize the breakout rooms so that we can really individualize the support that families want. So you're going to get to pick a breakout room, whether you want to learn more about how to see work or grades in Google Classroom, if you want to learn more about News ELA, or if you need some support with Kinvo. And then we will just have general Q&A at the end. So our Zoom norms have not changed. We are operating under increased privacy measures. I've now disabled the waiting room so that anyone with our private password can enter. Just reminding everyone that when I post that on our private Girls Prep Facebook page, that information is not public, so I'd ask that you not share it with anyone outside of our Girls Prep community. We haven't had any issues with it, I'm happy to say, and we've had a really fun time interacting here, so I'm glad it's working out. During the meeting, if everyone can just remain on mute, unless you are sharing out, it just helps cut down the background noise so everyone can hear. There is the raise a hand function that you can use during the presentation if you need the presenter to stop because you have a question. You can also use the chat feed to type in questions. The chat stream is monitored and it's recorded with the recording of the Zoom meeting. And so we'll be able to go back if there's a question that we missed. But our Fearless Grade Team leaders and staff members, Mr. Jorian, Ms. Lopez, they can be responding in the chat feed during the meeting, as my brain cannot do two things at once. If I looked at the chat feed while I was looking at the slide deck, y'all wouldn't understand anything I was saying because I would get lost. So I'm gonna, Ms. Lopez, I'm happy to lead this unless you want to come off mute, mask and all, walking down the street near the San Francisco Bridge.
I wish that's where I was. It's a little windy, so let me know if you can't hear me or if this is better for you to do it. I just thought we would use our eyes in a different way, and if we could spot 12 differences. I am not a genius. I've only found 10. So if you could type in the chat feed the differences that you see, and we'll just take 2 minutes and see how many of us can get them off.
I'm going to start a timer. I just want to say, I know where Dakota gets her competitiveness from because I think I just saw Ms. Reeves grab a pen and paper to write this down because she's about to be the first one to do it. I saw it. She was like, here we go. All right, we got 2 minutes. Let's find the differences.
Miss McCall is probably going really hard. I can't see all the screens at the same time, but I am pretty sure she is knocking them out.
Okay, so Miss McCullough, I'm not even gonna listen to your judgment. She always makes fun of me because I lean into the camera because I forget that I don't have to talk like this to the mic. I get it. Okay, so I think I only found 4. I didn't tally them up. Tally up how many differences you found. And then if you wanna, let's just come off mute, share one difference at a time. Let's see if we can get all 12. Anybody can start.
The design on the butterfly.
The top left flower doesn't have a stem, and then the flower to the right doesn't have a flower.
The tail of the fox and the bush where the fox's tail is different.
There's a bush beside the butterfly, and none on the other one, and also the bush behind the fox.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 little plants, the first one on the right side is missing the little stem.
The butterfly's wings.
Does anyone else see that the sun's positioning looks a little different?
Yes, I said the clouds are shaped differently. Yeah, I took it as the clouds are shaped differently.
The 4th red flower from the left is missing the centerpiece.
That was such good directions, Miss Cologne.
Thank you.
It's almost like you live with Sabrina or something.
What happened?
I said it's almost like you live with Sabrina or something.
Hi, Miss Strong.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I've
Good.
been making recipes.
You're making who?
Recipes. I made strawberry salsa, a frozen lemonade drink slushy thingy, and I made ice cream, but without like milk in it. So it's just like the frozen fruits.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. I miss those homemade donuts. All right, you get me sidetracked. Now I'm miscounting my differences. Those donuts were always so good. So I think we got, did we get 10? Is that the answer key? In the top right corner?
It really is. I don't know who else noticed the answer key in the top.
Wow, I did not notice that at all. That might be one of the differences.
All right, well, there we go. This is a good one. So if your scholar is not on the call, I'm going to email this PowerPoint out. You can go ahead and see if they spot the fact that the darn answer key is right at the top while we're squinting our eyes to find the differences. Ha! That was fun. Thank you, Ms. Lopez, for our community builder today. All right, Ms. Colgan, I'm going to move my chair back in the sun and turn it over to you for some 5th grade highlights.
Amazing. So there are a lot of 5th grade highlights. 5th grade has honestly been killing it. We've been incredibly proud of 5th grade. We had our core value award winners. Jaslyn Diaz won scholarship. Payne Rivera won merit. Nakia Leslie won sisterhood, and Tawana Harris won responsibility. But when the 5th grade team was trying to figure out, there was a huge debate and a ton of nominations. So for scholarship, Peyton, Ashley, Nyla, and Camila all got nominated. Jennalise, Tawana Madison, and Alyssa Robinson all got nominated. Zadia, Kiana, and Catherine all got nominated for Sisterhood, and Catherine, Madison, Hillary, James, Tiana, Malia, and Sanai all got nominated for Responsibility. And I'm sure there were even more that teachers thought of because I know that was happening to me. So keep up the hard work, 5th grade. We're gonna be doing these every 2 weeks with Unity meetings. So there's a lot of opportunity to win these awards. And also shout out to all the scholars who spent their lunch period with me learning how to send professional emails. I've received the best emails, amazing signatures, very professional. 5th grade is going to up me soon for how to write an email and have to teach me. And I have to say shout out to Jennalise. You will always be my little nugget, and please keep signing your emails as your little nugget because it is the best thing ever.
Love, love, love. And for parents, just so you know, what we are doing, what Ms. Lopez is really facilitating is every 2 weeks when we have our Unity meetings, we're giving core value awards. It's not the same as a core value polo, right? Because we only do those once per trimester, but we wanted a way to more frequently acknowledge all the incredible work that scholars are doing. So like being nominated for a core value award means that you're on track for being considered for that core value polo at the end of the trimester. So we're really, really excited to have those in our Unity meetings. And thanks to all of you who showed up to our Unity meeting this morning. On behalf of the 6th grade, I wanted to share the Scholars of the Week. Nikayla Scott was honored for scholarship today. Jillian Alvarado for merit, Ariana Arce for responsibility, and Sisterhood went to Anaris Martin. All of these scholars just went above and beyond in the last few weeks of remote learning to demonstrate these core values. And their teachers, Mr. Jorian, I don't know if you want to speak on behalf of the 6th grade team about what brought these scholars to the leaderboard here.
Yeah, so the nice thing is just about each afternoon during the week, we're able to come together as a whole grade team and just discuss among all content areas, some scholars who are really showing our core values. And when it comes down to it, we have just seen some kids going above and beyond in the virtual age of things, such as Anaris, just like helping out with all of the other scholars within 6th grade, just going above and beyond, showing sisterhood and always willing to lend a helping hand, whether it's sharing some notes that she took if a scholar missed their work, or if a scholar has a question in class, she's always there to help answer those questions. Ariana Arce was another scholar who has just been like really taking initiative and emailing teachers, following up with them, making sure she has a device that works well, and just really keeping herself accountable to getting the work done and learning the work as best as possible. Jillian was another scholar that we see showing up in every single class. She's always asking questions. She's wanting to make sure she's finishing her work the right way. And she goes ahead and not only does she answer the questions that we give her, but she checks in with us to make sure that she's doing it the right way so she can even perform better the next time around. So she's really seeking out that feedback from us, which we see a lot of hard work and merit from. And lastly, Nikayla. I was super duper jazzed to see Nikayla jump onto scholarship, mostly because I've been seeing Nikayla come into small groups. I've been seeing her coming prompt and prepared, willing to ask questions, willing to guide the small groups, and willing to guide the other students in their learning, showing that she wants to succeed and getting really thoughtful in her answers and really answering the prompts as best as possible. So it's been really cool seeing these 6th grade scholars shine this week.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Jorian. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Walker to share some 7th grade highlights.
Cool. So the 7th
The 8th grade unity meeting is going to be next week. So next week, I will have some core value shout outs to share with everybody. For today, just have kind of an assortment. Miss Sikander wanted to give a special shout out to Alana. Miss Sikander said she's been constantly showing up to advisory, science, and history class on time. She has not missed any small groups and is really trying. And I just want to jump on with that shout out. We have a lot of girls who are doing the same thing, who are consistently showing up to all their classes every day, coming to office hours. And I know that that's really time consuming and requires a lot of effort and focus on their part. So shout out to everyone who's really putting in their best effort and making smart and responsible choices with their technology during virtual learning. I'm super impressed. I don't know if I had that maturity when I was in 7th grade. I wanted to shout out Miss O'Daniel's Sister Circle. Anyone who has Miss O'Daniel as their point of contact is so lucky. She just does the most creative activities with the students to bring joy. She does this in like small group and advisory time. She makes it really, really joyful. So highly recommend if your students can ever pop into her small group, checking out what she's doing in there. Wanted to thank Kaylin, Joanna, Anaya, Sarai, and Kashmir for the awesome teacher appreciation video. It just warmed my heart and it was so hilarious. I've watched it like 5 times. I'm obsessed with it. Thank you so much to those girls for all the hard work and creativity. All the 7th grade teachers felt super appreciated. And tomorrow, please look forward to virtual recess led by Miss Buyones. That did not finish. That's supposed to say student-led dance lessons. So if anyone wants to learn some TikTok dances, we will be in there being taught by the students. I will be looking like a clown, no doubt, but we should all be having a lot of fun. So hope to see lots of students there.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Walker. Last but not least, Ms. McCullough talked to us about 8th grade this week.
So these are some pictures that I've gotten over the quarantine break. The girls like sending me pictures. We have Star Ava, who is in her zone. Sarai, I don't know. Sarai Williams just, one of the girls sent that to me. They took a screenshot. And then on the bottom right is me with my high school group that just talks to girls about high school and real life and stuff like that. And my day is so much better. I'm so glad to have that at the end of the day. So something that the 8th grade teachers did this week to support as POCs are, we are all co-teachers on each other's Google Classrooms, just so we can support students and families with content areas like getting access to work or having trouble submitting or if this is really missing or not. So this was something that we started this week that's been really beneficial when reaching out, that we can talk about all contents and not just our own. To any 8th grade parents that are on here, if you guys would like to send me any pictures to add for the graduation slideshow that me, Ms. Lopez, and Ms. George are working on, that would be greatly appreciated. That I have some in the vault that I've been finding that were like from 6th and 5th grade that I did not even know I had. And pictures that didn't get to make it into the yearbook, just to make sure I encompass everything. 8th grade today had 100% attendance. Continue. They're killing it, doing a really good job. Make sure they're taking their attendance in the morning, even though I text about 26 girls every single morning to take their attendance. I'll do it every single day, Monday through Friday. In terms of end of year celebrations, me, Ms. Lopez, and Ms. George are trying to come up with some amazing things that we can do to celebrate the 8th graders. We know that they're supposed to be walking across the stage in June, but unfortunately they're not. I'm also working with members from PPN on how we can do a graduation that is something for the girls to remember. So stay tuned for that information to come about end of year stuff. I'm sending out some things to the girls on Friday about things that I will need for them in order to make sure that they get things delivered to their house as well. So anything I will send out to you guys, you'll get it via email. I miss you all and thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ms. McCullough. I've also gotten to see some lovely, and maybe we'll share some of these out in the next chat and chew, video webisodes. The 8th graders are creating their own TV series on the web about girls prep because they miss us that much. I know that's what it really is. They're doing some really creative stuff. It's amazing to see them making the most of what we know is a tough time. So shifting gears into academic updates. So trimester 2 report cards. We talked about this on Friday, but I know they've started going out via Kinvo this week. So you may not have yet received the report card. They're going to be going out in batches up until Friday. Our ops team is sending those out individually, so it's taken us a minute, but everybody should receive theirs by Friday. Just want to make sure that everybody is clear that the trimester 2 marking period that this report card reflects was from November 18th to March 6th. So it does not include any work or any of the grades since we've moved to remote learning. So today I had a parent panicking, thinking that their trimester 2 report card was like a report card for remote learning. It is not. It is November 18th to March 6th. This is the report card you would have received at parent-teacher conferences had we not gone on closure on March 13th. And just as a reminder about our grading policy and trimester 2 and trimester 1 grades. Essentially, because we have had to shift our grading policy during closure, trimester 2 grades are like frozen in time. They are the snapshot of where scholars were back between November and March. However, they are not going to be factored into an overall GPA or a final yearly grade because of the shifts to the grading policy during closure. So if we were in a typical school year, scholars would get their trimester 1, trimester 2, and trimester 3 grades. Those would then be averaged to give a final overall grade. That is not happening this year because of remote learning and the shifts in our grading policy. So what's on the report card is, again, the reflection of trimester 2, but it is essentially kind of, you could think of it as like frozen, kind of frozen in time. It is its own thing. While we are not hosting, like as a network, we're not hosting like formal family teacher conference day, given how much time has passed since trimester 2, we are 100% open to having conferences with families that are interested, primarily to talk about the progress that we're making and where your scholar stands for trimester 3. So even though we're not hosting a full day, we are absolutely open to scheduling those meetings. To help streamline the process, we're going to be sending out an interest form so that we can help schedule those for teachers. Right now, teacher days are packed either with virtual class or with a lot of one-on-one contact with students. And so rather than having them set all of those follow-up appointments individually, Ms. Lopez will be reaching out with an interest form. And then depending on how many parents we get per grade level, we will then follow up and help schedule those conferences. But again, most importantly, what we would want to talk about in those conferences are progress through trimester 3, so that parents know where scholars are performing right now. But we can obviously also talk about the trimester 2 report card and questions that come up there. This is just a review of what went out from the network, and we also talked about Friday in the chat and chew, which is the term 3 grading policy and another year of learning, because that obviously has shifted for us in remote learning. So in trimester 3, all scholars will receive a narrative report card at the close of the school year. We're not sending out a trimester 3 progress report for remote learning, but we are going to send a report card. It's not going to look exactly like it has in the past. It's going to be a narrative report card where teachers are going, in each content area, are going to describe scholar performance over the trimester. And then scholars' grades will be categorized in 3 main buckets. High pass. This is for scholars who have had an attendance rate in remote learning of 95% and above. It's for scholars who have had 90% work submission and above. And it's for scholars whose quality of assignments is above average based on teacher feedback. We'll talk a little more in a moment about that quality of work piece, because I've gotten a couple of questions about that I want to be able to address. The next grade scholars could receive is pass. So attendance rate of 75% and above, work submission rate between 66% and 89%, and the quality of assignments being satisfactory based on teacher feedback. And the last grade scholars could receive per content area. So in your narrative report card, scholars are going to receive one of these grades per content area. So they're going to receive a grade in English, math, science, history, and petals. But the grade itself is going to be one of these categories. And did not meet guidelines. These are for scholars who have had inconsistent attendance during remote learning that's been below 75%. Scholars whose work submission rate is below 65%, and whose quality of assignments is poor based on teacher feedback. The part that I want to make sure that I do my best to clarify for families is around the quality of work. So that's what I'm getting the most questions about, is like, how do I know if my scholar has a high quality of work? Because we want our grading policy to reflect our core values. We want scholars to be accountable for their work. We also want to be flexible and acknowledge that we are in an unprecedented time, and that remote learning comes with its own set of challenges for both students and families. And so we are not going to approach our grading policy through a punitive lens. It is going to be an accountability measure, but again, we know that scholars, not all scholars are learning as easily with remote learning. And so their effort is largely going to come into play. And when we talk about the quality of work, for students who are in high pass, these are students going above and beyond completing assignments. They are applying feedback from the teachers regularly and resubmitting their assignments. They are making sure that they're following the rubric and the instructions, and they're going above and beyond. They're adding more detail. They're writing longer than was required. In Petals classes, they might be doing more than the 1 weekly assignment. They might be doing multiple assignments. The accuracy of their work is really consistent. So when we're thinking about high pass, we're thinking of like, what would be the principal's list kind of academic honors of remote learning? For students whose work quality will fall into pass, this is not an exhaustive list, but I wanted to at least give some examples. So these are scholars who are fully completing the assignments to the best of their ability and submitting them to teachers. They're making some revisions on their work based on teacher feedback. The accuracy of their assignments is generally consistent. But first and foremost, these scholars are putting in their very best effort every day to do what's required of them. They're showing up to their small groups, they're getting the extra help when they need it. If your scholar is doing that and they're submitting their work regularly, that's all that we're asking of them right now. For scholars to fall in the did not meet guidelines, some examples. And I know none of the scholars on this call fall in this category. None of us are going to, because we're all going to rise up. I know this. This would be students submitting a blank document just to say they turned in an assignment, but not actually completing the task. This would be scholars submitting exit tickets by just clicking on different answers, but never actually opening their class materials. These are scholars who are asked to write a short response and instead are writing a 2-word answer. Even after teacher feedback, they're not going back in to revise that assignment. It would also be scholars that cheated on an assignment or plagiarized an assignment. So they copied answers from something off the internet and submitted it as their own work. So I know that we can do better than did not meet guidelines, but I wanted to give everyone just a few examples to bring a little more clarity to what this new quality of work policy kind of looks like. And so like how to ensure your scholars on track. So like the good news is this has not changed since we started remote learning. This is what we've been talking about every week. And if you've been doing your very best to get scholars to do these things, and you've been in contact with your point of contact to troubleshoot any problems, if we're aware of any tech challenges and we've been able to problem solve with you, your scholar is going to be on track and is going to be fine. They need to make sure they answer the attendance question every day, first and foremost. They need to ensure that they're completing and submitting their assignments daily. We do know that not all scholars can complete the assignments in the same day that they're assigned because they're sharing tech, they're supporting at home with younger children, all kinds of a variety of things. That's okay. They need to get the assignment submitted within a 2-week window. Ideally, they're submitting as much as they can daily so they don't get behind. Ensure they attend as many virtual classes as possible. I want to be clear. Our messaging to kids is if you have the tech and you have the access and you are not, supporting with other things at home that impede your ability to come to class, you should be at every virtual class. You should be at every small group. I want parents to also know that if your child cannot attend every virtual class, that is okay. It's the most important that they submit their attendance question. If they cannot attend virtual class every day, the video recording of that class is on the Google Classroom for them to access. Scholars should work to make up any of the assignments that are posted on Google Classroom if they've not submitted them already. But they need to prioritize today's work first and staying on track of what's happening today. I don't want them getting so caught up in trying to do previous work that they then just keep getting further and further behind. Start with today's work and then chip away at anything that is already late. On that note, weekly assignment clarification. So math and science, scholars have one assignment daily, Monday through Friday. So there are 5 assignments a week for math and science that scholars need to submit. In history and ELA, there's 1 assignment daily, Monday through Thursday, with an optional review task on Friday. So they do need to submit something Monday through Thursday. Friday is optional. We want students who need more work to have the opportunity to do it. We want students that need an opportunity to use Friday to catch up to have that opportunity. For Petals, this came up. I had an amazing 5th grader email me a very professional email and ask to set up a meeting to discuss remote learning. We had that meeting this week during lunch and recess. She came prepared and on time. She had outlined her feedback and she had come up with solutions. Ashley Bonet, talking about you, it was incredible. She was very concerned about Petals, and I want to make sure that everybody is clear. Students have access to all Petals courses. Petalists, our Petals teachers, are assigning work every day so that scholars who need, again, extra creative outlet for families who want that, for scholars to be able to submit it. They are only required to submit 1 assignment per week for their trimester 3 Petals course. So if they're a 5th grader, they should be submitting 1 theater assignment and 1 PE and health assignment. If they are in 6th grade, they should be submitting 1 art assignment, 1 PE and health. If they are in 7th or 8th grade, because we are not in remote learning, continuing our Spanish course right now, those students should be choosing a different concentration, art or theater, and they should be completing 1 assignment per week plus their PE and health assignment. All the additional posts for Petals Monday through Thursday are not mandatory. Those are optional extension assignments for students who want or need that additional creative outlet and work time during the week. A Friday schedule shift is coming your way this week. It's not major, so no need to panic. But it's based on your feedback. So we heard from a lot of families that like, now that math and science are offered 5 days a week for work, scholars need more time on Fridays to make sure that they get that work done and that they can catch up on anything that they missed during the week. So there's just a few key shifts to the Friday schedule. It still is going to be a Petals focused day. Petals classes are the only virtual classes offered on Fridays. What we have done to allow for more flexibility and work time for scholars is that we have combined our virtual Petals class for 7th and 8th graders. So they now have one block of time to come to art and theater. What's awesome, if you have a chance to peep one of those classes, the projects they're working on are incredible right now. But they're also working on a similar curriculum, and so this is going to allow for a lot more collaboration. There's also an additional block of office hours with Petals teachers, so with Miss Natalie and Miss Den, for 7th and 8th graders, specifically if they're interested in an independent study. So let's say they really want to concentrate on the arts in high school. There's an additional hour built in that they can go to Petals with Miss Natalie and Miss Den for independent study. It's optional, but that is there for scholars. We've also combined our PE and health class for our 5th and 6th graders because our health curriculum is vertically aligned and pretty similar in those grades. That allows the flexibility for there to be an additional period of work time for scholars. That was the purpose of combining some of those and providing the additional office hours. So the way that you're going to see this schedule with the links, I'm going to email it to families tomorrow, and all teachers are going to post it on their Google Classrooms for scholars. And they're going to talk to scholars about it in morning advisory tomorrow. So on Friday, the schedule again will look slightly different for your scholar. You'll see it tomorrow. Scholars will have access to it on every Google Classroom, and all the links that they need to click into those virtual classes are there. Tech feedback before we get into our breakout rooms, because I know I just front loaded a lot of information and we're already at 5:43. I knew today was going to be packed. Thank you to the 72 families who already responded to the tech and communication feedback survey. The biggest things that families said they needed support with were how to view scholars' work and grades in Google Classroom. 59.2% of families said that that was one of their greatest needs. How to communicate with the teachers via Google Classroom, how to find scholars' assignments for the day. Those were the 3 greatest tech needs with Google Classroom. So I'm going to address 2 of those quickly, and then there's going to be a breakout room where Ms. Walker is going to walk families through viewing scholar work and grades. So the Guardian emails that you're receiving from Google Classroom, I've gotten a lot of questions about those. Thank you, Yolanda, for sharing with me what it looks like on the parent end when you got it for Kaylin. So if you accepted the invite to join your scholars' Google Classrooms, it gave you the choice of how frequently do you want to receive these email summaries about work. You could choose daily, weekly, or you could choose never. Hopefully you didn't choose never. The summaries are sent based on every Google Classroom that your scholar has joined. And the email includes 3 key things. 1, it includes missing work. So it will say work from last week that hasn't been turned in, and it will list those assignments. It'll also say upcoming work. So any work that's due today and tomorrow, or if you're getting daily emails, or that's due in the next week if you're receiving weekly emails. It'll also just show you class activities. So if the teachers made announcements or posted things, that will come up in the email. That is really the only function of the Guardian email. It is not a two-way communication street. It is just basically a report of what's coming up in the Google Classroom. If you want to actually view your students' work itself, you have to do that in your student's account. And Ms. Walker is going to show you how if you choose to go to that group. How to find assignments on Google Classroom. This is super basic and you can come back and reference this visual. But this is for families who said, I don't know how to find the actual work that my scholar has to do today. So this is just a view. This is actually a teacher view, but the student view is pretty similar. The student view, you will not see grades right here. That will be gone. Students should really just focus, and you should focus on what's posted in classwork. That's where you're going to find what they need to do. You're going to see it divided by week, and that should be the case in every Google Classroom, so it's easy for you to navigate between contents. So in week 8, this is a history. This is 5th grade history. You will see both the exit tickets, and if there's a question posted or if there are class materials posted, they'll be listed here. The due dates will also be listed. I don't know why I'm touching my screen, like you can see my fingers, sorry. I just realized I was doing that. The due dates are also going to be listed so you can see when that assignment is due. So we've got 13 minutes and I'm committed to making this happen. Joanna gave you credit for this breakout group idea, and I am gonna just cross my fingers this works as well as I want it to. So we've got 3 options for families. You get to pick one of these. If you would like to see the demo and ask questions about how to view your scholar's work and grades in Google Classroom, you're gonna go to room 1. If you need support with Kinvo, I got a lot of families on the tech survey said that they didn't actually know how to use that well or how to get that information. You're gonna go to room 2 and talk with Ms. Lopez. And then in room 3, Mr. Jorian is gonna be there to talk to families about Newsy LA. That's our independent reading platform. Scholars should be on there every single day doing their independent reading. So if you are one of the parents that said you were not sure how to navigate Newsy LA, you can learn that with Mr. Jorian. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna stop sharing my